Support WrestleTalk!
Download the podcast.
Hello and welcome to WrestleRamble. This is Luke Owen, I'm Ollie Davis, and today is a fantasy booking warfare episode where we will be rebooking the in-ring WWE debut after 11 years of Kurt Angle. Yes, that's right, he returned at TLC, but we're going to attempt to do it a bit more structured because it was kind of like a panic move. WWE just chucked him in because Roman Reigns was out with a virus, so we decided to see if we could do it better. Personally, I don't think I have.
You're a little bit worried about this fantasy booking warfare?
Could not get my teeth into it.
I was going to say a little behind the scenes here for the wonderful viewing and listening audience on the podcast, but you finished your fantasy booking warfare. I would, in here, you were sat in that chair looking at that laptop there about 5 seconds before we pressed record.
Yeah, we always do a test to make sure the camera's working, then we play it back, and then we put it back in, and then we hit record. I finished it in the period between testing it and pressing the record button.
So you are, and I wrote mine in a hospital waiting room because I was kept waiting for a good 45 minutes before my appointment hit.
You okay, man?
Yeah, it's fine.
Everything good?
Yeah, it's okay. Everything's more or less ticking away.
So what I'm saying is that not only have I not really read it back with a clear mind, I'm not even happy with the ending. It's like, when you start, if you're drawing big bubble letters on the front of a birthday card, and you start really big, and then you're like, there is not enough space on this card, so the balloons get smaller, and by the end it's very tiny. That's what I've done with this.
Are you perhaps playing a game where because you did this last time with Survivor Series, where you're like, I'm not really happy with what I've done. I don't think that my fantasy booking's actually all that good. And then it actually turns out to be pretty good, and then you win.
Well, that helped.
Getting those sympathy votes.
I just think that was because yours was bad, though.
No, I don't think mine was bad.
Not because I did the sympathy thing.
Mine was just not what the audience is used to now for Survivor Series.
Well, you're still going to vote. We're still going to do our pitches, but October has already been won.
Yes, it has. Yeah. This video is actually going up in November, right?
That's a good point.
So actually, this is the first one of November.
Oh, no. So this actually does count. Well,
yeah.
I won October's, which is fun.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay. Oh, damn. So this counted. I thought mathematically you had no chance of beating me.
No, I've already lost October. But by the time this goes up, it's then November.
Damn. Yeah, so we're recording this a little bit in advance because Luke's on his honeymoon right now. So we're recording this the week before.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll have to do your punishment when you get back.
Whatever that may be.
I don't know yet. Should we get on with the fantasy booking? Now, because I won the last one, which was the Survivor Series booking, I will go first because there seems to be an advantage for whoever goes last because that's when the poll goes up and everyone's like, that's more recent in my mind. Click, click, click. So, here we go. Just to outline the rules for Kurt Angle's in-ring return rebooking. His in-ring return hasn't happened yet. So this is Sunday morning of TLC. And everything that's happened has happened so far. The scandal, Jason Jordan being Raw general manager, and even Roman Reigns being struck ill. So that's the only thing that's changed. Roman Reigns has been struck ill, but Kurt Angle is not replacing him in TLC's main event with the Shield. So, what I'm trying to do here is I'm just trying to create a new star. I'm going to use Kurt Angle to have a fun run. Probably, one of his last runs, or, for a couple of years, this will be the start of. But in the process, elevate someone else. And who is the most natural fit for this? Jason Jordan.
Obviously.
So you could have gone two ways with this. You could have ignored Jason Jordan, which I think is what everyone wants to do, myself included. You could have gone a route to break them up, like I was never your son. It was actually Gable. I switched the DNA results, which I thought about for a while. Or you could just go full in. You could just go, yep, this we're stuck with this. All my chips in. I'm invested, and so be it.
I had chips last night.
Yeah, oh, were they nice?
A bit disappointing, actually. Pie and chip, it wasn't good.
So, Roman is out with a virus, but you've brought in AJ Styles. Me, personally, TLC isn't a major pay-per-view, so you don't have to give people the big surprise return. It's not like you don't owe them, of course you do. People have paid money, but the Shield reunion was only confirmed like 1 week ago, before the majority of people would have bought the tickets. So hopefully AJ Styles and Finn Balor is enough to pacify the fans. That's the risk I'm taking. Now, Kurt Angle comes out at the start of TLC and says, and explains the situation in the ring, Roman, because we never really got that. Roman Reigns has been taken ill. He sadly will miss the main event tonight. But Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins have said they will face the heels. He wouldn't say heels, but they will face them 5-on-2. They're going to do it 5-on-2. Like Dean was like, we'll face you 1-on-8, 2-on-27. And that's their wishes. Jason Jordan's music hits. And he comes out and he passionately says to his dad, I can do this. I'm your son. I'm gold-blooded. And since I've come to Raw, I've taken John Cena to the limit. I've taken Roman Reigns to the limit, the guy that you need replacing. Just give me a chance. But then the Miz interrupts. Just before, Kurt Angle's like, I'm not going to do this. But Miz interrupts and says, whoa, whoa, whoa. We signed a contract here, and it says these names on this side and those names on that side. And we agreed to face Seth, Dean, and Roman, no one else. Roman's not in it. That's the way it's got to go down. So, there's no Jason Jordan on this contract. But because I dislike Jason so much, they have their own history there, I'm going to let you tag with Dean and Seth. We've talked it over. We're going to let you take that main event spot if you can run the gauntlet before the main event with one night only Mr. Raj honorary members. So you don't even have to win, Jason Jordan. You've just got to last all these guys coming out to beat you up. You just have to survive. Kurt's like, no, don't do this, Jason. Don't put yourself through this. But Jordan grabs the mic, being the fiery baby face that he is, and says, you got it, Miz. Nasty man. I've just written down here, AJ and Finn tear the house down. Still, I kept that bit. Deserve to win on that piece of booking alone, I think. Now, pre-main event. So you've taken away all the Elias and Jason Jordan vegetable throwing bits, and in its place you get this gauntlet match directly before the main event. Jordan comes down with Kurt in his corner, and Kurt is dressed in a tracksuit, like a wrestling coach, and he's obviously giving him advice. He's standing next to Jason, sort of stretching him out at ringside, giving it a sporting feel, and importantly, the commentators are putting that over. It looks like Jason's going to have all the wealth and experience of Kurt Angle here. So Miz, Cesaro, Sheamus and Curtis Axel come out, and they sort of stay at the ramp to introduce each honorary member of the Miztourage, and he introduces first as Kurt Hawkins. Kurt whispers to Jason Jordan, obviously giving him some, his expert assessment on how to take out Hawkins. Commentary puts that over, and Hawkins gets in the ring. Jordan suplex, immediately pins him. 1, 2, 3. Jordan gets over the first one, and they're getting over how good Angle must be as a tactical coach. Next up, Goldust. Goldust comes out. They have a bit more of a match, but it's only when Kurt sort of says something to Jordan near the ropes that Jordan manages to beat Goldie. Next up is Axel, Curtis Axel. They go a bit longer, but Jason wins again. Now, Jordan is celebrating. He's quite tired because he had to go through these people. Usually think 3 people you're done. And then Hawkins hits him from behind with the staff. And as Hawkins and all the heels smugly walk up the ramp, Cesaro pays them off. A nice little, with a briefcase of something, it's implied. And Miz goes, oh, actually, wait, there's one more person, actually. One more honorary member of tonight's Miztourage. And Jordan's still selling in the ring. He's quite tired, and he's just been hit by the staff. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, Samoa Joe. Joe just comes down. It is not a competitive match because Jordan's already out. and Samoa Joe just destroys him. Picks him apart for a couple of minutes. Kurt shouts some advice though, and that fires up Jordan, and Jordan has a brief flurry, but of course Joe's the fresher man, he's very big, he overwhelms Jordan, and Joe puts Jason in the coquina clutch for ages, for an uncomfortable amount of time. And Jordan's fighting like he'll try and get out, but Joe is just yanking on the chokehold, and Kurt goes to throw in the towel. And he's really stressing about it, like he's really morally wrought, because he doesn't know whether to help his son or if his son's got this. This is, it's the next step of growing up and becoming an adult. Should he make this decision for him, which means Jason isn't an adult? He looks like he's just about to throw it in, but the referee calls off the match. He rings the bell just before Kurt doesn't, and Kurt just looks disgusted at himself for not throwing in the towel sooner, because why did I not do that? And runs into the ring to help Jordan, and he's sort of like saying, "Are you okay?" Jordan's like pretty much unresponsive. Braun! So now their heels come out. That's Braun Strowman's entrance music, by the way. They all come out to the ring for the TLC main event, and then the Shield come down. Only Dean and Seth, of course, come down to the ring, while Jordan is just passed out in the corner. Dean and Seth do the majority of the opening because Jason's still selling. But when Seth is down, he's knocked out on the outside, and Dean has the heat on him, so he's looking for the hot tag. He tags in Jason, and that's what Jason Jordan's really good at. He runs in, does his hot tag routine, but then, and I think this is a cool spot that's going to happen eventually, Strowman running power slams Jordan off the ring apron through a table. I don't think he'll be able to reach the announcer's table, but just a normal table. It's TLC. It's fun. So the rest of the match plays out like before, just normal. So Strowman and Kane have dissension. Kane takes out Strowman. When Strowman gets back up, Strowman takes out Sheamus and Cesaro, like knocks them silly, and then Strowman's garbage compacted. I should change that. Miz then gets the near pin on Dean. But, that really good bit where Miz hit the skull-crushing finale on Kurt Angle in the actual match. But Jordan just breaks it up. You even forget he's in it because he's been lying in that table wreckage for so long. But Jordan breaks it up, and then Seth hits the Kingslayer. The King's Landing, and wins. So Shield wins. Way, Jordan, you did it, son. But you weren't really in the match. So a like-for-like replacement for Roman. The next night on Raw, Kurt opens Raw by saying sorry, as your general manager, I'm not here tonight because I'm by my son's side in hospital. Because of severe dehydration from wrestling that long, he needs to be under medical supervision for a while, so he's in a local medical facility, I should have said. In my place tonight, running Raw, will be Shane McMahon. Me and Shane go way back, so this is him doing a favour. And then Shane does all of Kurt's Survivor Series announcements, and I think then that main event invasion angle sort of feels a bit nicer. Shane can do that. So that all happens the same. Now, then you have, through the night, before that big main event reveal of the invasion, though, is skits with Kurt visiting Jordan in hospital. And this is where we start to go a bit camp. So Kurt says to Jordan is like, in bed. He says, I've thought about it, and I've been so swept up in confusion since the news about you being my son came out. I haven't really taken this opportunity. This is an opportunity for me to connect with you. So I'm going to be your trainer. I'm going to be your official trainer. And he presents Jordan with a present. So it's, a little wrapped up thing. Jordan opens it. So Kurt's wearing his tracksuit now, the same one from last night. Not the exact same one, but he's like a cartoon character, I imagine. He's got loads of the same outfit in his wardrobe. And it's a matching Olympic-style tracksuit for Jordan in the present. It's a bit goofy, just like Kurt's best at. That's like, he's a comedy backstage skits. Now, the following Raws, Kurt Angle is back as Raw GM, but he is still Jordan's trainer. And it's building up to qualifying matches to be on the Raw Men's Survivor Series team. And Jordan's one is booked to be against Samoa Joe, building off that TLC thing. And the backstage skits for the next couple of weeks are, Jason Jordan doesn't really appear on the show in front of the live crowd. He's just off on location with Kurt. Here's what we got up to later in the day. And it's Kurt training Jason Jordan. And here you just go classic comedy Kurt, which is skits include Jordan belly-to-belly suplexing people while Kurt's barking instructions, and then Kurt goes, "Okay, you next," and the camera pans to the right, and it's loads of nervous, weedy jobbers just standing in a line, getting them a tiny hat to sing Jimmy Crack Corn, and after every bit of training, like after every little bit of physical activity that Jordan does, Kurt says, "Now drink your milk," and he's just got a glass of milk from nowhere, sort of Leon-esque. Of course, because Kurt Angle loves milk. Now, this is all training for him for the Go Home Raw to Survivor Series. His qualifying match, sorry, not Samoa Joe, against Matt Hardy, because Samoa Joe's already on the team. Now, have I got this wrong? Let me look at it, because I haven't read this back, remember. Okay. Yes, this is fine. Right, so prior... How seamless this is. So, prior to Jason Jordan's qualifying match, Samoa Joe corners Jordan backstage. This is the first time Jordan's really been in the Raw environment since TLC, and Kurt Angle's not with him. And you've seen Jordan and Kurt have been inseparable. And Joe corners him and does that brilliant thing Joe's really good at being friendly, but so threatening. Mm-hmm. So it looks like he's giving him advice, and he reminds Jordan that, you should never forget, buddy, sort of pushing him around. You got to be your own man, Jason.
It's only acting.
Sorry. That was a shoot. And fathers are great, but they all come with their own lifetimes of baggage. Joe doesn't have to. This is not word for word. I'm not doing scripted verbiage because it doesn't read very well in Samoa Joe's voice. But this is the basic gist. That fathers have unfulfilled dreams that they'll project onto you. You never know. Maybe Kurt might even get a bit jealous of the chip off the old block. And Jordan's just like, huh? That sort of confused face. I've left the oven on at the end of the backstage segment. So Jordan beats Matt in the qualifying match, with Angle really acting as the deciding factor at ringside because he's giving the advice. Jordan is attacking Matt's shoulder. He's working over Matt's shoulder, but a few times in the match that Jordan doesn't pick up on, Hardy is obviously favouring his left leg. And Corey Graves, because he's so good at this, picks up on it on commentary, says, I think Jordan should be going for the left leg there because it looks like Matt's rolled his ankle, but Jordan doesn't see it. He's going for the shoulder. And then Kurt yells as his coach, go for the ankle, point an ankle. Jordan turns round to look at him, is a bit confused for a moment, and then Matt quickly hits the twist of fate. It looks like it's over. Jordan kicks out, but, there was a bit there where Jason nearly lost the match. Jason finally comes to, realises what Kurt's saying, gets the ankle lock, Matt taps. Shades of his father. Now, at Survivor Series, all the heels stop tagging in Jordan when they're on top. So it's just like the heels tagging in each other, but as soon as it turns the other way, and the Team SmackDown has the advantage, they tag in Jordan. And once Jordan is in there, then the heels aren't tagging in because the rest of the team is Miz, Sheamus, Cesaro, and Samoa Joe, I think. But they're all heels. And Jordan gets one elimination, and Kurt finally comes down in his coach gear and demands the heels that they tag him in. But because they're distracted with Angle, going, no, Jordan can't actually tag in because Kurt's distracting them all. Angle is distraught because Jordan is getting beaten up, and he's in the submission again. Jordan is close to being tapped out. Let's just say it's AJ Styles with the calf crusher, but he's not tapping. And Angle's torn again. Is he going to throw the towel in? But the referee eliminates Jordan just in time because Jordan's passed out because of the pain. Jordan limps off with Angle sort of apologetically walking after him. Now, the next period I'm just going to skim over. It's rebuilding. Kurt is trying to rebuild Jason Jordan, sort of in his own image, to the Royal Rumble, because Kurt has never won the Royal Rumble. It's one of the, that first year he was Intercontinental Champion, WWE Champion, King of the Ring, but he's never won Royal Rumble in his whole career. So he reframes the training around the Rumble. So the next few weeks of Raw, Jason is in matches booked by Angle where he can't go over the top rope. he, everything else is the same. You've got to win by submission or pin. But if Jordan gets thrown over the top rope, Jordan loses the match. So that plays out however it is. And like near the end of this training process through December, Angle's like, I've never won the Royal Rumble, and Jason, you're gonna do it for me. And Jordan goes, you mean us? And Angle goes, yeah, us, the Angles. But still kind of goofy. It's still a goofy relationship. Now, as we enter January and the actual tight build to Royal Rumble, some slots are given out. I like it when we know some of the entry places beforehand and you leave others for surprises. So some are just given out by your place on the card. Intercontinental Champion automatically gets a beyond 25th and over place. Others are decided by matches. There's a little gimmick about the number 27, the 27th entry is statistically the most successful spot in the Royal Rumble. So WWE hold a little tournament around that to work out who's going to get the 27th place. And through these matches over the weeks in this little tournament around the 27th, Angle is becoming increasingly demanding of Jason Jordan, sort of consumed by him wanting to vicariously live through Jordan and win the Royal Rumble, one of the only things he never did. And he can't just give Jordan a prime slot, even as Raw General Manager. Jordan has to earn it. Just like I earned everything in my first year, Kurt would say. So he's working Jordan harder and harder, and as he's doing that, he's sort of turning Jordan into an Angle clone. And Jason isn't that comfortable with that. And, in other bits, Jason will win a match. Kurt's always at ringside as his coach for this, but Kurt will celebrate in front of Jason. Little things like that. Also, just generally, as Raw General Manager, Kurt is favouring the heels more and more backstage. So it's all a bit weird. Go Home Raw. Samoa Joe and Jason Jordan are the finalists of this multi-week tournament. They haven't clashed again since that the TLC Gauntlet match ages ago. Of course, they were part of the Survivor Series team, but this is I don't know why, I just like that match. I think they could have a really good match, so that's why I keep coming back to it. The same thing happens as that TLC match. After a decent 15 minutes, Jordan gets stuck in the Coquina clutch. And he's got it in there for ages, and Jordan is like so close to tapping out. And rather than Kurt Angle being torn about whether to throw in the towel or not, he's screaming at Jordan now because Angle's become obsessed with winning the Rumble. He's like, you're throwing it all away. You're a disappointment. And he eventually screams, you're no son of mine, and throws in the towel on that. And the towel goes over the rope, and it goes to land. But that's just when Jason Jordan comes back to life and grabs the towel. He grabs the towel, saving himself from being the match ending and giving Joe the win. Kurt looks amazed and he's slightly taken aback, and then Jordan powers out of the Coquina clutch and beats Joe, and he storms off and he walks past Angle. What is going to go on in the Royal Rumble? Jordan has the 27th place. So the Royal Rumble, JJ is in at number 27, and it sort of goes down to, I don't know, it's irrelevant, but let's just say it's Roman Reigns and someone else, and it's only Roman and Jordan left, and they're going for ages. And even though number 29 came out like 5-7 minutes ago, number 30 is nowhere to be found. You probably see where this is going. When both men are down, number 30 is Kurt Angle. Angle returns and he comes down. This is the in-ring return of Kurt Angle that we were meant to book, and he teases siding with Jordan. He picks up Jordan. He's like, we can do this. I'm sorry. You are my son. And they point at Reigns. Crowd are going crazy. But then Kurt throws Jordan over the top rope and turns on his own gold blood. He low blows Reigns. And this is where it's going to get problematic. So, right. This is kind of where I still don't know how this story ends. So what I've got here is I just thought, you know what? Vince has Reigns and Lesnar is what's happening at WrestleMania. Can I change that? So I've got written down here, Roman Superman punches Kurt to win because Jordan interfered and low blow Kurt to get the comeuppance. But actually, I'm going to rebook it on the fly. Kurt freaking wins this. Kurt wins it by cheating. And he is the cocky. The next night on Raw, he comes out and booking this on the fly now. He comes out on Raw and says, I'm stepping down from my general manager position. I am now an in-ring competitor. So you've got to find someone else for general manager. But he hardly ever wrestles. He doesn't even wrestle at Fastlane. He sort of avoids Jason Jordan. Maybe Jason Jordan and Samoa Joe have another match. All building to a Jason Jordan versus Kurt Angle match at WrestleMania. There you go.
Okay, so similar to yours, the intent of mine was to get over a new star. I want to use the in-ring return of Kurt Angle to put over a new star and push them into the main event picture and make them a bona fide main eventer. Unlike yours, however, I am going right back to the start. So I'm going back to the night after WrestleMania, when Kurt Angle was announced as Raw GM. Now, what's funny about that is that I didn't even consider the Jason Jordan thing until you mentioned it. And I was like, oh yeah, that did happen this year, didn't it? Yeah. Oops, I've sort of forgotten about that. So let's see how this goes then. But yeah, that's not really, doesn't really factor into mine. Okay, so it's the night after WrestleMania. Kurt Angle is announced as the new Raw general manager. He's there to run this show, and he's going to make this show great. He's going to just be an awesome general manager. So Kurt Angle's in the ring, and he's saying thank you, and he's saying, it's really good to be here and stuff. Whose music should hit but Braun Strowman? Braun Strowman's Braun comes down. Braun comes to the ring. He's pissed off because at WrestleMania he wasn't on the card. He was just booked in some stupid battle royal. I'm here for competition. I'm not here for stupid battle royals. I'm here to be a champion. Give me championships. Give me an opportunity. So, Kurt Angle says that, do you know what? As my first act as Raw General Manager, I'm going to find you competition. I'm going to make it my aim to find you, Braun Strowman, competition. So next week, Braun squashes a local competitor that Kurt Angle has brought in. Week after that, Braun squashes two dudes that are two local competitors. Week after that, Braun squashes three dudes. And he then says, and then Kurt Angle says, okay, clearly this competition is not enough for you. So at the pay-per-view, we're going to start the Braun Open Challenge, where you can go to the ring and you can announce that you are opening the Braun Challenge and anyone can answer. And so, Angle books the Braun Open Challenge for the BOC for the next pay-per-view, which is Backlash. Yeah, it's Backlash. So at the pay-per-view at Backlash, Jeff Hardy answers. They have a good competitive match, but Braun Strowman eventually wins. Okay, so this now Braun Open Challenge becomes a weekly segment on Raw. It's just Braun comes down, squashes jobbers, maybe is essentially doing the US title Open Challenge, but with Braun just trying to finally beat Braun, to try and be the man that beats Braun. So BOC becomes a thing. Michael Cole starts hashtagging it, that sort of thing. Becomes a t-shirt for Braun. That's his new gimmick. It's the Can You Answer the Braun Open Challenge? And his Titantron becomes the amount of victories he's had in the Braun Open Challenge, and that also counts with house shows as well. They show clips of house shows on Raw and say the Braun Open Challenge took place in Reseda this week, and here's what happened. That sort of thing. So we're building to Extreme Rules here. Angle, still looking for that competition that Braun needs, heads down to an episode of NXT and speaks to William Regal backstage. It's just William Regal standing there doing his little "I'm William Regal" thing, and I was once with the Queen once. And then Angle walks in and it's just I'm here to find someone for to be Braun's next challenge. Can I go to the ring and make this announcement? So he goes down to the ring and they announce that they're going to hold a 2-show tournament on NXT, a 4-person tournament to crown the next person who is going to answer Braun's Open Challenge at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. That tournament is won by Cassius Ohno. So we build up towards Cassius Ohno versus Braun Strowman at Extreme Rules. Braun, of course, wins. That's his next big victory. It's not a call-up for Cassius Ohno, just before anyone starts to hound me for that. It's not a call-up. It's just a way to kind of elevate new stars by using the kind of established stars you've got at the moment. So Extreme Rules, Braun beats Cassius Ohno. So now SummerSlam, we're building up into the summer. Braun is still on a tear with his competition with the Braun Open Challenge, and his next challenger is Roman Reigns. SummerSlam, of course, Braun wins. Very competitive match, but Braun wins. His streak continues. So for No Mercy, Angle has announced that he signed a deal with Shane McMahon and Brian Danielson and Daniel Bryan to allow someone from SmackDown to come over and answer the Braun Open Challenge for No Mercy. Because Angle's like, look, at the moment you're going through all of the guys I've got on the roster. I need to go outside to try and find people to come in. So that is AJ Styles. So AJ Styles is going to perform on the Raw branded show No Mercy, which of course Braun wins. The streak continues. The numbers keep increasing. The Braun Open Challenge remains. At TLC, Angle says, "Look, I've got it now. I've got the guy who is going to beat you, and I've got the guy who's going to beat your streak." It's Kane. So Kane comes out. Kane makes his triumphant return as we build to TLC. Kane is back. They have their big mean guy meat match. It's a truck versus a bin. They have their match. But eventually, of course, Braun wins. The Braun Open Challenge remains unanswered. So, we're now in the build-up to Survivor Series. So Braun's been on an absolute tear for most of the year now. Now building into Survivor Series. On Raw, Strowman comes down to the ring while Angle's doing his usual, "Hello, I'm Kurt Angle. Here's what happened on last week's show. I know you just watched the video package, but here I am to just explain it to you again." Braun comes out and says, "Enough's enough. I demand Lesnar. I demand my match with Brock Lesnar. You said there's no more competition. I've beaten guys from NXT. I've beaten guys from SmackDown. I've beaten your Nostalgia Rex from 20 years ago. Where is Brock?" And Angle says, "Look, I didn't want to tell you this, but I can't give you Brock Lesnar because Paul Heyman's lawyers have said that Brock will not fight you. And they've got the contract. I'm tied up in contract negotiations with them. I want to give you Brock Lesnar, but I can't." Strowman says, "This is unacceptable. I want Brock Lesnar." So Braun knows that Lesnar is going to be at Survivor Series, and he's like, "I demand my title shot. This is what I've come here for. I've come here to be Universal Champion." So that's obviously the next week on Raw. And Angle says that tonight, tonight you're going to find out what you're going to do at Survivor Series. I finally arranged everything with Lesnar. We're going to talk. We're going to have, in the main event of tonight's show, we're going to announce who your opponent is for Survivor Series. So it comes to the main event. Angle comes out and he's doing the usual spiel about how he's going to face blah, 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 blah. And then Braun comes down and he's like, "Enough of the talk. Where is Brock? Where's my competition?" And Angle says, "Look, I lied to you again earlier. You're not going to face Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series because someone else has answered the Brock Open Challenge. And it's this man." Lights go down in the arena. Titantron fills with images of Kurt Angle. It's basically the video package from TLC. And then a crowd goes huge because like, "Oh my God, Angle has answered the challenge." Light comes back up. Braun Strowman looks confused. Angle sneaks up behind. Angle slam. Or the Olympic slam. Crowd goes banana, as Pat Patterson would say. Crowd goes nuts. And you build towards Survivor Series, where you have Braun Strowman against Raw General Manager Kurt Angle, finally answering the call. And Braun beats Kurt Angle. That is where I feel like my fantasy booking might fall down with people, but Angle will lose his first match back because I want to use the noteworthiness of Kurt Angle, the emphasis of Kurt Angle. Even Kurt Angle, the legendary Kurt Angle, cannot defeat Braun Strowman as he makes his path towards that Universal Championship with Brock Lesnar.
So which one did you prefer? There's a poll above our heads right now. Click Oli or Luke, depending on which one you thought won. And comment down below with, of course, just general feedback. And if you've got any fantasy booking warfare scenarios you would like us to tackle next, because we're scraping the barrel, guys.
Yeah, but as a heads
we're
up,
running out.
As a heads up, we're not doing CM Punk's return.
Yeah. We'll put that off for a while. It's too big. So yeah, let's just have a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
I like that I thought I had a little checklist of Luke things. Oh, NXT.
Yep. Has a meeting
crossing over Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah. Has a meeting with William Regal backstage. Yep.
Luke got to do his William Regal impression. Yep.
I particularly like that you had tag team rules in your TLC match.
How do you mean?
You said that during the TLC it's building towards the hot tag to Jason Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just surprised that you did tag team rules in a TLC match.
That's a good point. I kind of mixed up Survivor Series and fight. There were too many multi-man matches. But you are right.
Mate, don't
it's
say
a
too many.
free-for-all, isn't it?
Don't say too many multi-man matches. That's what cost me at Survivor Series.
Yeah. But I liked yours. It really made Braun feel like a big deal.
And
I
that's what I wanted.
don't think that works as a catchy T-shirt slogan, though.
Oh, what?
Who can answer the Braun Open Challenge? Who will be...
I'm not the WWE marketing team. I'm sure they'll come up with something. To be honest, they'll probably come up with a worse name than the Braun Open Challenge.
Yeah.
Or perhaps even a better name.
Matt, I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
But yeah, so I just thought I wanted to use this to try and as I said, I think that the one thing that people may not like about my booking is that Kurt Angle loses. But it is the most competitive match that Braun has had in his career up until this point.
Well, we just watched Goldberg and DDP, and that was only 10 minutes, and it was... both guys looked absolutely incredible at the end of it. And maybe, like, if you don't mind me to just tie a little bow on the end of your finish there, Braun Strowman... After that Kurt Angle match, and it's a competitive thing, like, Braun raises Kurt's hand at the end, like, there's a bit of respect there, and then Braun walks off.
Very nice,
allows Kurt to sort of go on to other matches and chalk it up as ring rust, but there's still that respect there. Yeah. Maybe that protects people a bit more.
Thank you for helping my
No,
booking.
no,
I'm not.
Please do the same for mine. I haven't even got an ending.
Well, I was going to say, looking at your notes, I preferred the ending that you've got here. I preferred your ending that Roman wins the Rumble because Jordan and Angle are arguing, and then you do heel Kurt avoids JJ through Fastlane, and then you do Jordan versus Kurt at WrestleMania. Because what I would say about yours, because it's a year-long storyline, it's such a big thing. Well, 6 months, whatever. It's still a big storyline. That doesn't need the title. It doesn't need a Royal Rumble win.
Kurt doesn't need the title either.
Yeah, it's a blood feud, literally. That doesn't need any championships around it, which is what I really liked about yours, and I like that it's the family dynamic. So I don't think it needed to have Angle win.
Kurt doesn't need the title. Jordan should not have the title for years. So I just like the idea of Kurt being a Royal Rumble winner so much, but he's the heel, so he shouldn't. You're right. You just didn't want Roman Reigns to win the Rumble. There's that as well. I mean, that's an automatic loss, right? CM Punk did I mention CM Punk came in at 24 in that Rumble? Because that was Kurt's next. That was the actual next opponent. That was the proper in-ring return. He was going to face him at Fastlane. He was going to be one of my Braun Open challenges of when I had to dive into the past to find this guy. Yeah, we don't tell us to book CM Punk's return. We book it every week. It's just background stuff. It's just in there. So that's all we've got time for today in our first challenge of the month of November. Please click the videos that have just appeared over Luke's face to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk news or WrestleRamble. Support this thing on Patreon is one, and so here's the magazine. And subscribe to us, subscribe to the podcast. This is Luke Owen. I'm Ollie Davis. And that was